I appreciate you bringing up, Madam Moderator, the words of Admiral Papp. He's my old boss and a prior Commandant of the Coast Guard, but he also has special bona fides in the Arctic. I think you may be aware that he was the special U.S. Arctic representative who headed up the Arctic Council when the United States had the chairmanship. So if there's an officer out there who knows about the polar regions, it's Admiral Bob Papp. And he's exactly right on the need for collaboration in icebreakers. And the Coast Guard operates with a bunch of different people in this area. For folks in the audience to know, the United States Coast Guard is a member of the Armed Forces of the United States. Although we are not in the Department of Defense for the United States, we're actually in the Department of Homeland Security. And there's a long history of why that is. But we're not only a member of the Armed Forces, we're a law enforcement agency, a regulatory agency, humanitarian agency, a transportation agency, a communication agency, and a bunch of other things that are all put together for the United States Coast Guard. But one of the things that we have is we are the exclusive operators of the nation's icebreaking fleet. And we have two basic fleets. We have a domestic icebreaking fleet that works up on our Great Lakes as well as our river systems to keep those open for commercial traffic or for search and rescue and things. But we're also, and what we're focusing on today, the operators of our nation's polar icebreaking fleet. We have a fleet currently of 2 operating icebreakers. Now, that means fleet with a little f, not fleet with a big F when you only have 2, because some of my colleagues have bigger fleets than we do. And we have 1 heavy icebreaker, the Polar Star, which is about 40 years old. It's currently dedicated working exclusively down in Antarctica, keeping the supply routes open there. But our second operating icebreaker is a medium icebreaker, the cutter Healy, which is named after one of our Alaskan heroes. And this cutter Healy has the most sophisticated and extensive scientific suite we have ever put on board a United States Coast Guard cutter. And just to let the audience know, the Coast Guard does not do direct science per se, but we support the scientists who come on board. Lots of times through the National Science Foundation, a lot of work with international colleagues who use the Healy as well. And well-used platform. Healy, in the past few years, has been operating exclusively in the Arctic and exclusively during the summer months. Probably would be overmatched in the winter months, and we've taken her down to Antarctica before, but she's really not well designed for that type of environment. So we try to use Polar Star down there as much as possible. The United States is undergoing a recapitalization effort of this entire fleet. And where we'd like to get at the end of the day, and our high latitude study demonstrates this, is to meet all Coast Guard and national needs in the Arctic and in the Antarctic, we need a fleet of 3 heavy and 3 medium icebreakers. So we're on the way right now to building the first of our heavy icebreakers. We haven't begun any construction activities because we have to get our Congress and other supporters in line. We do have some money appropriated and a pretty significant sum into an account, but the actual trajectory for building of this class of vessels is going to depend on this next appropriation cycle from the Congress. So we're very much awaiting that. We're under, in the United States, what's called a continuing resolution, which is kind of a caretaker budget until they get a little bit more time to make some decisions here. But we're hopeful we get a good quantity of money that's going to allow us to undertake some of the initial construction activities. What we have done on the heavy polar icebreaker side of the house is we've let out what are called industry studies, and we have 5 industry groups who are busily giving some preliminary designs on what a heavy polar icebreaker might look like, as well as some potential cost estimates, equipment requirements, trade-offs, and things like that we've got underway. And all 5 of these groups have essentially certified that they can build this icebreaker. And for those of you who don't follow United States law, under current United States law, this vessel will have to be built in the United States shipyard. But my guess is it's going to rely on a lot of foreign know-how, because most of the serious cutting-edge icebreaking developments have not occurred in the United States, unfortunately, over the past 40 years, but occur in foreign nations. So we've kind of gone the globe here trying to see what's best and brightest out there for the recapitalization of our fleet. So with that, I'll stop, and I look forward to additional questions we can probe into any of these areas. So thank you.
Thank you very much.